Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I have a very special presentation for you today, designed to motivate and inspire your workforce.
Not what you're looking for? I didn't think so. Let's take a look at certified speaking professional Jeff Tobe.
I want to talk to you this morning about coloring outside the lines, about getting outside your comfort zone and looking at the HR business, the HR profession differently than you have before.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. Jeff Tobe is a dynamic speaker, fun, energetic, informative, who talks about coloring outside the line. It's all about creative thinking when it comes to designing and implementing the ideal customer experience. Well, I'll let Jeff tell you more.
Please welcome Jeff Tobe. So where is he? You know, I've been sitting back here this morning thinking to myself, you're all trained, aren't you? Come on. I watch you walk in, and of course these back tables fill up first, right? And they all sit according to where you think the speaker should speak from. As a matter of fact, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I heard somebody back here say, you know, if he's not any good, we could sneak out, he'll never notice. So I may just stand here the rest of the morning, drive you crazy if I can. Good morning, everybody. Oh, no, it's the last day. We got to get the energy up a little bit. Good morning, everybody. As a matter of fact, here's what I'd like to do. If you'll appease me, when I ask you an appropriate question this morning in our short time together, would you all answer with the word absolutely? Let's try this. 1, 2, 3. No, it's energy I'm looking for. And we're going to talk about coloring outside the lines, about getting outside your comfort zone. So my job this morning is to make you feel uncomfortable. How cool is that? So with that in mind, every time you say absolutely, I want you to throw up your left hand with a fist like you mean it. Come on, we can do this. 1, 2, 3. All right. So would you like to leave here a little more creative than when you came in this morning? All right. Want to have some fun? Absolutely. Want to figure out a guaranteed method to triple your personal income by May and take the rest of the year off? Absolutely. In your dreams, I can't help you with that, but I thought I'd ask anyway.
Jeff Tobe was dubbed the guru of creative thinking by Insider Magazine and was recently chosen by readers of Conventions and Meetings magazine as one of the top 15 speakers in North America.
Forget about who you know and who you're sitting beside. By a show of hands, how many of you truly believe you are one of the most creative people you know? 10. Okay, we got some work to do. Let's start there. I truly believe everybody's creative. When were we most creative in our lives? All of us. We were kids, right? I spoke at Craft Canada one day, and I had a guy say, when I was dating. That's not what I was looking for. No. It's when we were kids, right? So it didn't just fall off. I mean, it's there inside every one of us. And what we're going to talk about today is how do you access that natural creativity and use it to your advantage every single day? You know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I walk around all day saying, nobody likes me, what happens? Nobody likes me. If I walk around all day saying, I'm not creative, I'm just not the creative type, guess what? You're not. So the first step is telling yourself you are one of the most creative people you know. How many people have ever heard of the 21-day rule? 21 days to do something. What am I talking about? Just yell it out. Yeah, 21 days to make, break, or change a habit. Actually, I'm glad so many of you knew that because it comes from AA. So it's good to know my audience. Yeah. A little early for you. Sure, no. Wonderful organization. I certainly don't mean to make fun of them. Many years ago, AA said if you could stop drinking for 21 days, you wouldn't break the habit, but you get over the first hurdle. So it's translated to mean 21 days to make, break, or change any habit. One of my simple goals for today is this. If I could get you to go back and look at your organization and ask yourself, what is it that we do that's strictly habitual? What do we do just because that's the way I've always done it? You already be more creative by questioning the norm. See, we do this all the time. We do things out of habit, and we don't realize it until we start to question it. Oh, I'll prove it to you. We've got such a big group. This should be fun. If you're wearing a watch, would you all take it off and hold it up, please? Come on, take off your watches. I want to see them. As quickly as you can, those with your watch up, I want you to put it back on the other arm. I know you don't want to. I know it's uncomfortable. Please appease me. And by the way, it's the only team-building portion of my talk. If you're having trouble doing this, it's okay to ask somebody beside you for help, okay? And how awkward is that? When did it gain about a pound from one arm to the other, right? But here's my challenge. Until you go to bed tonight, I'm going to ask you to force yourself to wear this watch on your other arm. As uncomfortable as this is, every time you go to look at the time today, I want you to ask yourself, what else do I do that's strictly a habit? That's all this is. I mean, if for the next 21 days or so, you consciously put this watch on your other arm, after 21 days, it would start to feel comfortable. The things I want to share with you this morning are not going to feel comfortable. Being more creative means not feeling comfortable. The changes you're going through in the HR profession can't possibly feel comfortable, but 21 days of trying something new to see if it doesn't feel more comfortable to you. And by the way, if you happen to see somebody in the trade show or later on today and you don't know them and you want to meet them, just go up to them and ask them what time it is. Make them look silly. Okay.
Jeff is the primary colorer at Coloring Outside the Lines. He believes in the power of creativity to look at what you do from a new perspective and accept that customer service is no longer the bar that distinguishes us from our competitors. We now have to consider our internal and external customers' experiences from the minute they make contact with us to the minute they are done. He teaches organizations that to thrive and survive, they must first implement strategies that have a fresh approach. He works with you to customize his message to ensure that your people get real takeaways from his presentation.
I got a challenge for you. When you get into your cars today or tomorrow when you get home, whatever it is, I want you to try something. I want you to get into your cars and drive home only looking in your rearview mirrors. Oh, come on, I've been on the 401 many times. I swear you guys do this all the time, right? Sure. No, you couldn't do it, right? But I got a challenge. I'm going to beat you up a little bit. I find so many people in this profession who get into the proverbial cars every single day. It can be your cubicle, your office, the plant. It doesn't matter where you do what you do, but we approach what we're doing only looking in our rearview mirrors to see how it's always been done before. Great saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The new unofficial saying for HRPA for 2010, 2011, unofficial because it's got to stay in the room. If it ain't broke, break it. I'm looking around for management. Yeah, they're sweating right now. Great idea. Don't tell the folks back home. I truly believe that we have to break some rules for survival in HR today. Now, let me tell you something. There's a warning that comes with coloring outside the lines. It's okay to color outside the lines as long as you don't fall off the page. You have to figure out where is the edge of the page for you personally. Where's the edge of the page for the organization? Where's the edge of the page for my customer? How far can we go before we've colored too far? But here's what happens. So many people in HR have been in the business for so long that very early on in our careers, we are right on the edge of the page. Technology-wise, resource-wise, knowledge-wise. But as our careers grew, the page grew with us, and some of us were still back here. So today, coloring outside the lines is simply about checking the edge of the page. Now, I use a word in all my presentations in HR that makes some people feel very uncomfortable. I've already used it a couple of times. The word I use is the word customer. And I do it on purpose. I want you to start to think about your internal and your external customer. External, depending on what business you're in, you can define that. Internal is where most of you are focused, our internal customer. Anybody without whom we can't do what we do every single day. And let me broaden your scope a little bit. I truly believe, like in my business, I only have 3 people. We're a very small company. But my UPS driver is an internal customer. My FedEx driver is an internal customer. If they don't pick up my parcels when I need them to, I'm out of business. They're a vital part to doing what I do every single day. The key is this. In your customers' minds, when we're talking about change, there are only 2 issues, internal and external. They look like this. 1, 2. It's early. We're going to keep it simple. Here we go. The first is cost. And the second is value. And unfortunately, that's the ratio between the 2. Let me explain what I mean. I'm not talking about the price of your services, the price of what your company does. I'm talking about the perceived cost of doing what you're asking me to do versus the perceived value, what's in it for me. Now, totally rejected, dejected, on the other side of the river, not knowing what to do. Miss A walks down the riverbank totally forlorn, but eventually she comes across Mr. E. And if you thought this was bad, watch this. Mr. E is not alone. Nope, Mr. E is on a... It is a horse. Thank you. Good for you. You got horse from that. Same kid that said cell phone, I got that for you. He said jet ski. I don't know how to draw a horse, but it is a horse. Come on, horse, right? Yes? Come on, is that a horse? Yes. And Not just any horse, it's a white horse. Ooh. And he's dressed in white. Miss A approaches him. He looks at her, he says, "You look terrible. What's the matter?" She said, "I'm going to tell you. I was in love with Mr. B across the river, but I couldn't get across too fast, flying too deep. I went to Mr. C's, got a boat, he said, to kiss my wing. Kiss my, I was in love with Mr. B, went to Mr. D, wouldn't even get involved. Went back to Mr. C, gave him a little kiss, he brought me across. Mr. B wouldn't take me anymore. What am I going to do?" Mr. E looks at Miss A and says, "I'll take you just the way you are. I don't care about your past. I don't care what's happened. Hop onto my white horse. We'll ride off into the sunset." She does. They do. End of story. I have a theory. This guy is so far down my list, he won't go any further, but I have an advantage. I've been telling this story for almost 2 years. I lay awake at nights thinking about Mr. E. This is a sick mind. I just want you to know. Here's my theory. Do you think he just happened to be sitting there on a white horse? I don't think so. I think this has happened before. Think about it. For whatever reason, woman gets rejected, walks down the riverbank. He doesn't have a horse. She walks right by him, doesn't even notice him. He says, "Next time I'm going to get me a horse." Are you kidding? In my theory, these two guys are strategic partners. It's my theory. Give yourselves a hand. You're doing great. What's the point? What's the point? What could it possibly have to do with being more creative? I don't know, but it was fun. Just because that woman who can yell and I put Mr. E at the bottom of our list, does it mean we're wrong? Some of you will say yes. No, it's just a different what? Perspective. It's a different perspective of the exact same situation that you all saw. That's what being creative in HR today is all about. Are you willing, after all these years, to be able to say, you know what, maybe there's another perspective? Yeah, there's a great saying in sales training, and I'm not here to do sales training by any means, but I think it's so apropos to what you do every day. If you see the world through your customer's eyes, you'll see the way your customer buys. Not in selling something, but how about just managing change, on getting change through the organization. See the world through your customer's eyes and see the way your customer buys. But perspective is a scary thing. We work with somebody for years and we think we know their perspective. And one day it changes instantly. And we're sitting there saying to ourselves, "Whoa, what's the matter with him? Whoa, what's the matter with her?" When we should be saying, "Whoa, what's the matter with me?" Why? Because if I'm constantly checking in with you to see what is it that will increase the value specific to you at any given moment, I'm never surprised that your perspective has changed. And perspective can change instantly, depending on what's going on in their personal lives. What happened in the car from home to work this morning can change their perspective.
Jeff is the author of the wildly popular book, Coloring Outside the Lines. He is also the co-author of The Communication Coach, The Sales Coach, and Experience the Experience. He's the featured writer for various industry trade journals and publications, with his thoughts having been shared in USA Today, Inc. Magazine, Small Business News, and Sam's Club Small Business Magazine.
I don't eat pizza, but my family loves pizza. So they tend to order pizza when I'm traveling. I travel a lot. They get their share of pizza. About a year ago, my wife calls me. She's 6 p.m. She's stuck in traffic. She says, "Honey, there are leftovers in the fridge. Would you order a pizza for the kids and I?" I said, "Sure, only one thing. Since we've lived in Pittsburgh, I've never ordered a pizza. Who do we order pizza from?" She said, "We order from Mama Leone's Pizza, and the number's on a refrigerator magnet up on the fridge." Now, I would venture to guess that most of you have never ordered pizza from Mama Leone's Pizza in Trafford, Pennsylvania. But I would also venture to guess that almost everybody here has had the exact same experience. You know when you call for takeout and it's no more than a 10-year-old kid who answers the phone? Right? And he's way too happy for even me. Yeah, sounds like this. "Good evening, Mama Leone's Pizza. I'd like to welcome the Tobe household." Now understand something. My last name is Tobe, T-O-B-E. But when I get those calls at 6 o'clock when they're trying to sell me something, they never get it right. Tobe, Tobe. Oh, I know when they hesitate, I'm in big trouble. Is this Mr. To be or not to be? Right? So I'm impressed. Two things go through my mind. Either this kid is a great guesser, right? Or my wife orders way too much pizza. That's right. Yeah, so I'm thinking to myself, okay. He goes on. He said, "I'd like to welcome the Tobe household. Who am I speaking to tonight?" I said, "This is Jeff Tobe." He said, "Oh, Mr. Tobe, you've never called before." So now two things go through my mind. Obviously, he's got caller ID, right? How else would he know? But two things go through my mind. Either he's got a great database, something that tells him who's called and who hasn't called, or my wife orders way too much pizza, right? I said, no, I haven't. He said, will it be the regular? Oh, now I'm into the game, right? I'm going to test the kid. So I said, you tell me what the regular is. He said, half cheese, half pepperoni. I said, that's exactly right. Now keep your perspective, no more than 10 years old. He said, Mr. Tobe, can I ask you a personal question? I'm thinking, he's 10 years old, for God's sake. How personal can it be? I said, okay. He said, have you fixed the light on your front porch? Oh, now two things go through my mind. And before you get too far, let me tell you what went through my mind. All right? In my mind, this kid just aged like 8 years, and I picture him on my front porch with my 18-year-old daughter, and the lights are burned out, right? Then I'm thinking, no, he's not old enough. So the second thing, this is a conspiracy. My wife had been asking me to fix that stupid light for about 3 months prior to this. Somehow she got together with the pizza kid, right? But I said, why would you ask? And his answer blew me away. He said, because. Last time my driver tried to deliver a pizza to your house, apparently the light was burned out. He had a hard time reading the numbers on your address. I don't want your pizza to arrive cold. Have you fixed the light on your front porch? I said, no, but it'll be fixed by the time you get here. Right? And if you'll excuse the pun when we're talking about pizza, there are two major ingredients here I'd like for you to take away today. It's this. Number one, it's about the experience, right? Three major. Number two, it's about shattering the stereotype of the experience your customer expects to have with you. And finally, it's about understanding our customer better than anybody else. Understanding our customer better and then working with them in a way in which they need to be worked with, not a way in which you've been used to working with them. A paradigm shift for some of you. Working with our customers, internal and external, in a way in which they need to be worked with, not a way in which we've been used to working with them. Picture this, standing on a bridge, Fergus, Ontario, overlooking the Grand River below. Here was my train of thought. Can't go home. What are my parents going to say? River, Huckleberry Finn, build a boat, get out of town. That was my thing. I thought, if I could build a raft and float away, my parents will never find me. And a miracle happened. You know what happened? The wind blew. And I was naive enough at 10 years old to think the only copy just went in the river. By the way, I learned one thing when I lived in southern United States. I was saved. That's a southern thing. Never mind. Naively, I ran home thinking my dad will never know. 2 days later, my father came to me waving two things in his hands. One I recognized as my report card. I remember looking at him and saying, you swam for that? You know, what a cool dad. But remember what I said, shatter the stereotype of the experience your customer expects to have with you. This is not the experience I expected to have with my father. You got to picture this guy. At that time, about 350 pounds, a farmer, right? And with his other hand, instead of saying what I thought he was going to say with his other hand, he handed me a copy of a poem. And he said, here, read this. Now, he wasn't a very poetic guy. He had found it. I had found it. It was anonymously written. I remember reading it that day, looking up at him and saying, Dad, am I in trouble or not? I don't get it. And he said the worst words you can say to a 10-year-old. He looked at me and he said, one day, son, you'll understand. And he walked away. This is torture for a 10-year-old. What day will I understand? Monday? Tuesday? 9 years later, I was cleaning my dresser drawer to go back to college. I found a copy of the poem. It's been with me ever since. I share it with my audiences worldwide. And at the risk of being overly dramatic, please bear with me. I am so excited to be here today because I truly believe it's going to take coloring outside the lines for survival in HR today. There is no way that you can do what you've been doing, never mind some of you 25 years. How about just the last couple of years and survive? We need to look at things from a different perspective, understand our customer better than we ever have before, and challenge ourselves to consistently look for that second right answer. Would you agree? Come on, everybody. Would you agree? You guys have been great. And let me share, if you'll let me, my dad's poem. It's called Coloring. Coloring outside the lines is scary business. Some days, I don't have the courage for it at all. On my big, bold days, though, I like to let my red crayon just streak across the lines. Out there with my purple and perfect freedom, no lines. And coloring outside the lines is lonely, too. I'm the only kid that doesn't get a gold star on my paper. The teacher, she frowns. The kids, they call me weird or dumb or stupid. Why don't they see I'm not behind them? I'm actually out in front, running free outside the lines. And it'd be nice to have a friend who colored outside the lines sometimes, too. Would you? Oh, come on. I think I'm the only thing standing between you and a break. Here we go. Ready? Wait. Little bit of energy. Left hand. Ready? Will you? Absolutely. It's been my privilege. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff Tobe is Coloring Outside the Lines. If your group needs to learn critical skills for the new workplace and they want to have fun doing it, then join Jeff in Coloring Outside the Lines. For more information, contact the provider of this video.